Hi, it's Lindsay Diane from DianeDecor.com. Today, let's talk about how to spot cheap home decor and the traps that you'll want to avoid to make sure that you're getting a really good deal when you're shopping for your home. When you're decorating your home on a budget, it can be really easy to fall into the trap of buying cheap home decor. And frankly, things that look cheap just downgrade your space and end up being a waste of money altogether. So where you may have thought that you got a really good deal on an item, you might wind up wishing you'd never bought it in the first place. Let's talk about what makes cheap home decor look so bad. There are usually two culprits for this: paint and plastic materials that are used to imitate wood or metal are the two biggest culprits in cheap home decor. The combination of paint and plastics are used to create inexpensive home decor pieces of just about every kind. So let's go ahead and talk about the 7 traps that you want to avoid to make sure that you're getting a really good deal and not just getting a cheap looking piece of plastic, basically. Number 1, steer clear of bad imitations. Resin imitations are just about everywhere. You see them in little elephant figurines that you might put on your tabletop. You see them in pots and planters for your outdoor space or for your indoor plants. These are often painted to make them look like they are a different material. For example, you may really love a clay or terracotta pot or some sort of other stone vessel, and you see one at Dollar General or Big Lots, and it's really cheap. It's, $19.99 or $16.99. Odds are that is not odds are, that is an imitation. You're not going to find any real clay or real pottery at that price. You're going to find a plastic vessel or pot that has been painted to make it look like that. When you have those kind of stone pots, usually it's a textured spray paint that's going over a plastic pot. Or if you're looking for something that is like, the whiskey barrel planters. Those have been really popular for like the last 5, maybe even 10 years. Lots of people like using those in their garden. They're expensive. To get a real wooden whiskey barrel planter is at least $60 or $70. But you see imitations all over the place, cheap ones. In fact, I bought 3 from Aldi myself. But again, just know what you're getting, right? I can buy it from Aldi knowing that it's plastic and knowing that it's fake for $12.99, but I'm not going to pay $79.99 for it. Now, it's easy to spot these things when you are shopping in person. You can pick it up and easily see and feel like, hey, this is not real wood, or this is not as heavy as this metal thing should be. It's really easy to spot it when you're in person and have it in your hands. But when you're shopping online, you have to put in a little bit more effort to make sure that you don't miss those little details and end up with something, really cheap when you thought you were buying the real thing. One of the things that you want to look at is in the product description, look for what that material is, and also look at the weight of the item. Those two things are going to be indicators of how good of a quality a piece is. In the product description online, look for words like resin, composite, epoxy, acrylic. All of these are code for plastic. Regarding the weight of an item, this is a big tell for whether or not a item that you see online is the material that you think it is. For instance, if you're looking at what you think are some like nice solid bookends for your bookcase, and they're measured in ounces instead of pounds, that's going to be a plastic imitation. Things that are an ounce are like a single key or a paper clip or a pencil eraser. Those are things that are an ounce. Now, and we all know pounds, even the cheap, if you get like a cheap dumbbell set, the lightest one is 2 pounds. You know what that feels like compared to a paper clip. So you know that if your item is saying, let's say those bookends that you think are wood, they say that they're 5 ounces. That's a piece of plastic, probably hollow plastic at that, versus if it were wood, solid wood, these would be at least 1.2, 1.4 pounds a piece. So weight is a really good indicator of the material that you're getting, and just know what you're paying for. Number 2 is antiqued decor. Antique decor are decor pieces that are given the illusion of age through some means, usually paint. You'll most often see this noted in a product description as the antiqued look. This means that it's been made to look like it's old, antique, or vintage. And remember, we see this with metal just as often as we see it with wood. Instead of creating faux brush strokes or to imitate wood grain or whitewashing something with chalk paint, we also see patinaed or faux patinaed plastic to make it look like it is an aged metal. If you ever get an old penny and it's kind of started to turn that greenish color, that's the patina that is often imitated to make a metal appear as though it's older or vintage. We saw a whole lot of this in the heydays of modern farmhouse. Everything was kind of whitewashed and distressed, made to look like it was from an old farmhouse, when in actuality this was just a clever paint job done with chalk paint. The price alone is a good indicator of whether or not an item is actually an antique. If you're looking at a piece of furniture that's less than, say, $300, it's probably not antique or vintage. You may be getting a deal in an actual antique item if you're buying directly from a seller, like at a yard sale or at an estate sale. But if you're shopping online for something that's less than $300, odds are it's not antique or vintage. One place you can find a really good deal on furniture that is antique or vintage beyond a yard sale or an estate sale is going to be the thrift stores. So Goodwill, Salvation Army, consignment shops, those are places where you're going to find some good deals on vintage items. It's going to be hard to find them, but you can find them. If you know for sure that you don't want to spend weeks and weeks and weeks hunting things down, go to a consignment shop. They're the ones that are going to, one, know what they have, but they're also going to charge you a little bit more, right? If you're at Goodwill, they don't know what they're looking at. They're just taking donations and they're trying to make money for that organization. They're not necessarily worried about, antique roadshow style stuff. They're not sifting through things like that. They sift through name brand things for their boutiques, but as far as vintage antique furniture goes, no one's paying that close of attention. So if you know what you're looking for and you don't mind the hunt, go there. You're going to get a cheaper price there by far. But if you are really in a hurry and you're really trying to put your room together and you don't want to mess around, go to a consignment shop. If they don't have what you are looking for at that moment, let them know. They'll put your name on a list, and when something comes into that shop, they will definitely call you. So that's the way to go about getting a more inexpensive piece of furniture that is antique or vintage. Number 3 is plastic rugs. I almost fell into this trap when shopping on Amazon a couple of years ago. I was looking for a really cheap outdoor rug for my patio. I didn't want to spend more than $100 on it. And I came across this rug that I really loved, and it had great reviews. And it wasn't until I actually bothered to read some of the reviews and just, not just look at the star rating, right? I actually started reading one of the reviews, and it said, expensive piece of plastic. And it wasn't until then that I realized that this rug is not a regular woven rug. It was a plastic rug, and I had completely breezed by it in the product description, and it was there. It said it, but I just didn't see it. I was so taken with the photos and the fact that it had all of these, rave reviews, that I totally just missed it. And that can definitely happen, and especially with rugs. So be careful. A plastic rug is fine for outdoors, but you wouldn't want to use one inside your home. And a lot of the times they'll list them as like indoor, outdoor rugs. So just be careful. If you see a really, really great deal for a rug, look very carefully at the materials used to make that item. Number 4 is too small furniture. This is a trap that you definitely want to avoid. This is one of those things that's used to kind of save money on the item. This can happen when the furniture is a little bit too low to the ground or just not wide enough for a regular adult. Look at the measurements of all of your pieces before you purchase them, their overall dimensions. It's usually a page in the product images. You'll see the little dimensions drawn out for you, and just compare it to something that you already have in your house that you know is a good fit and a good size, because you don't want to order something, spend 2 hours putting it together only to find that it's teeny tiny. Number 5 is low quality faux fur. Do not buy faux fur anything from Dollar Tree, Dollar General, any of those like really, really discounted stores. They use the cheapest possible materials. In the end, you're going to end up with something that is matted and rough to the touch, and it may happen within a week's time. Now, if you see a cheap little faux fur rug at Five Below and you want to like throw it in your nursery or something like that just to have something soft under your feet, that's one thing. But I wouldn't buy full throw blankets that you're going to put on your bed and try to cuddle with, and they're just going to get all, gross and scratchy. And I certainly wouldn't go for any pillowcases that are going to be front and center on my couch for everyone to see and touch and feel. Luckily, faux fur is easy to find online, and you can see the reviews from other buyers. That's the best way that I've found to go about buying. Online, you'll get better prices, you'll see a larger selection, and people will tell you in the comments and in the reviews whether or not it's soft and whether or not it holds up. Number 6 is canvas prints versus canvas paintings. Be careful when you're buying big wall art and you think you're getting a really, really good deal on it. You're probably buying a canvas print and not a canvas painting. Now, canvas paintings can be quite pricey. Canvas prints are cheap, 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 cheap. But the sweet spot is to find one of those hybrids. And this is a print that they've gone back and painted some brush strokes or added some sort of embellishment or texture on top of the print to give it a little bit more dimension. You see these a lot at like Home Goods and TJ Maxx and Marshalls. Finding a deal on a canvas painting, that's what you want to go for. Or, like I said, go for the hybrid versions that you see a lot at Home or Home Goods. That's it for this video. I hope you found it helpful. Please don't forget to visit me at DianeDecor.com. I share lots more tips on shopping on a budget and where to find inexpensive home decor and where to get really great deals decorating your home. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.